Good evening, everyone. And welcome to the North Carolina Museum of Art. I'm Sean Burris, the curator of Judaic art, and with me is Jeffrey Yelverton, our manager of music programs. We're so glad you could join us tonight for our musical feast and Freedom Seder. The tradition of the Freedom Seder began during the Civil Rights Movement in 1969, when Arthur Waskow held the first Freedom Seder in Lincoln Temple, a black church in D.C. Reflecting on how the new Haggadah, or the text recited at the Seder that he wrote for the event, Waskow explained, "I wove the story of the liberation of ancient Hebrews from Pharaoh with the liberation struggles of black America, of the Vietnamese people, with passages from Dr. King to Gandhi." The power of the Freedom Seder is the empowerment that comes from telling our stories together and connecting over commonalities in our histories and experience and in what makes us human. Our own tradition of the Freedom Seder at the North Carolina Museum of Art began in 2020, making this our 5th annual Freedom Seder. Tonight's Haggadah, our guiding text, is the program Different Ships and Same Boat, which speaks in the voices of America's many peoples, past and present, inviting us to reflect on the journeys to and through the promised land at the heart of the American story. Tonight's Freedom Seder is also our first public event, a series that we are delighted to grow and expand through the generosity of our sponsors to the NCMA's recently launched Initiative for Jewish Art and Culture, and in collaboration with our community partners, the Jewish Federation of Greater Raleigh and Jewish for Good in Durham. We are grateful for their support. Now, to introduce tonight's program and our special guests, I'd like to turn the floor over to my colleague, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you everyone for showing up. I have a little bit of an administrative task here. First, I want to ask everyone to please turn off their cell phones or silence them. This is a very intimate setting. It's also a unique concert. So what we're going to have is a 75-minute program, and we're going to go straight into a storytelling and Q&A. During that time, and I know 75 minutes is really long, it's going to be very, I don't want to say very casual, but more casual-esque. Feel free to move around, feel free to talk, discuss, use the restroom when you need to, because we understand that's going to be a long amount of time to sit and be captivated. And tonight, with our program, Different Ships, Same Boat, which was written and directed by Regie Gibson and Guy Mendilow, he is also welcomed on stage with other performers here. We're going to have Chris Baum and Courtney Swan, and they're going to do this presentation in chapters and going to be introduced every chapter as they go through. We please ask to hold applause between these chapters and episodes, and we're going to go straight into the Q&A afterwards. Are we all good with that? Yes? Fantastic. So without further ado, I present Different Ships, Same Boat. Thank you.
Well, here we are, in this sea of stars, somewhere between Venus and Mars. Short-lived hominids hanging about, just doing our best to figure this out. And isn't that what our species does? We try to figure it out. And to do that, we've created all kinds of vehicles to help us do that, whether it's been schools, whether it's been churches, mosques, synagogues, whether it's been museum spaces, in which we come here to indulge ourselves into that most primal of human things, our curiosity. And we're met with one Anglo-Saxon interrogative gruntable. That's right, you probably said it in your head. That word is what? Which is a very important word, right? It's a word that's driven our species, right? What is over that next hill? What are those things twinkling in the sky? What are you to me? What time is lunch, right? Serious stuff. So we're going to turn this into a little back and forth, just like our ancestors may have done in any place that we've come from. Someone, I imagine, was a woman who stood up, began to speak, called out to her community to find out if they were also with her. So we're going to turn that word, what, into a thing we call out for, because that's what we're going to explore tonight. So on the count of 3, I want you to give me a what, okay? 1, 2, 3. What? All right, that was pretty good. Now I want you to mix that, right, with something that you've seen that gives you a sense of awe that you don't even have words for it. And you turn to your partner and you're like, with that face. Think about that face and translate it into something verbal. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you know, some of us have RDD, which is rhythm deficit disorder, but we'll get it. We'll get it together. Now I want you to mix that with the first time you found out as a kid that many of us adults, maybe including our parents, sometimes are a little bit hypocritical. Yeah, you remember that, right? Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Exactly. Okay. Now, I was a kid, so I know how that is, and now I'm a parent and a grandparent. So everybody's looking at me like, that's not what you told me to do, and you're doing the wrong thing. Okay, fine. So let's get to that all part. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's take it back to the dawn of time. Before technology tamed our minds, when a man took his hands and began to clap, and that was the beginning of the boom, boom, bap. Let's take it back to the dawn of time, before technology tamed our minds, when a woman started humming to an animal's call, and that was the beginning of the yes, yes, y'all. A yes, yes, y'all. Now you getting there? A yes, yes, y'all. It's like that, it's like that, it's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. Really, according to ethnomusicologists and social linguists, it's kind of like that. So, once again, here we are again, needing to feel what it means to be human. To see the systole and diastole of the human heart getting rolled into poetry and music and whatever comes from the human soul. We know the body has intelligence. The intellect cannot dismiss a consequence of biocultural experience. But let's take a quick trip and get a sense of what it means for all of us to have become human beings. Back in a time that we cannot recall, our ancestors drummed in the hum of night. Under these same stars, they believed were gods that shone down as they danced by the firelight. Their bodies started moving, voices started grunting, imitating animals. They knew they would be hunting on the next day to provide sustenance for their tribe. This was a ritual intended to recognize that life is born of death. Like sunrise and sunset, cycles from east to west, the drums would beat, feet began to step, moving from right to left, the men leapt as the chants began to rise from the women's breath. This is why what we do tonight calls the blood. It's been this way since this species crawled from the mud, an ancient thing banging in the body and mind that we've been grooving to people since the dawn of time. So check it. Let's take it back to the dawn of time. Before technology tamed the mind, a man took his hands and began to clap, and that was the beginning of the boom, boom, bap. Let's take it back to the dawn of time. Before technology tamed the mind, a woman started humming to an animal's call, and that was the beginning of the yes, y'all. A yes, yes, y'all. A yes, yes, y'all. It's like that. It's like that. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. So, whether Irish or English or Spanish, Danish or Swedish or Polish, Russian or Turkish, Italian, German or Kurdish, Japanese or Assyrian, Javanese or Armenian, Portuguese or Hungarian, Hebrew, Zulu, Bavarian, no matter the tongue you speak, languages have a beat, the body instinctively translates into music. See, what science has found is we are creatures of sound, and our ears need to seek rhythmic patterns in human speech, like the words I'm spitting, hear the rhythm that's in them, even before you get a hint of any content I'm kicking. You first think nothing of it but the verbal percussion, drums inside of you, and then your blood begins rushing. Your pulse might get to throbbing, your head might get to bobbing. You feeling the effect of what the rhythm has been plotting. It's gotten you to synchronize your alpha waves and realize that rhythm is more than musical, but structurally underlies each and every atom to plasma scattered on Saturn. Every stage of matter is organized in some kind of pattern, which is architectonic. Everything has a tonic, everything has a cycle, everything has a phonic. Life depends upon it. We're engineered to want it. This thing that refrains, comes back, is chronic. The thing that haunts us all like a ghost in the mind. We've been dancing with y'all, 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 since the dawn of time. So, let's take it back to the dawn of time, before technology tamed the mind. A man took his hands and began to clap, and that was the beginning of the boom, boom, bap. Yeah, let's take it back to the dawn of time, before technology tamed the mind. A woman started humming to an animal's call, and that was the beginning of the yes, y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. It's like that, it's like that, it's like that, y'all. Yes, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, it's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like a that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like a it's like that.
Welcome to Different Ships, Same Boat. It is my pleasure to introduce your host, Regie Gibson.
And it is my pleasure to introduce your host, Mr. Guy Mendilow.
The title of our evening together, Different Ships, Same Boat, is a variation of a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said it with a hope that we would both consider and celebrate the various spaces and places from which we have come. And also recognize that no matter where we hail from, we are all here, now, journeying together.
Tonight, we'll unfold in a series of curated chapters. Each chapter featuring music and stories reflecting a specific theme related to our human journey. The joy and the madness, the panic and the sadness, the inner and the outness, the how to be withoutness. Sometimes these offerings are rendered directly, sometimes more subtly. The piece with which we opened described a journey from what creatures we were to what creatures we are now. Why? Well, we are and have always been a species of journey, beings who moved from one space to another. It's in our nature. It is our nature. Take, for example, our journey from childhood to adulthood. We see ourselves as beginning with little knowledge of the world around us and then growing into more awareness and understanding. Sometimes this way of seeing causes us to dismissively overlook the wisdom of our youngers.
So often we grown-ups think we know better than children. But throughout history, we have seen that our children often know better than we. And if we look and listen with humility, we might see that not only are their perspectives essential, but in helping us point towards better shores, but often they're the ones who are willing to do the heavy work of rowing the boat. Imagine these children were at some point told by some grown-up to stop rowing. Focus on something else. Not engage with this often frightening world. Well, this is for those children who chose to listen to something wiser. Chapter 1. Sit down, children.
Sit down, children, I can't sit down. Sit down, children, I can't sit down. Sit down, children, I can't sit down. 'Cause my soul's so happy, I just can't sit down.
And the children said, we want to march in the streets. March in the streets against those who oppress this land. And the grown folks said, children, sit down. And the children said, we want to fight for justice, even if it means we must risk our bodies and our beauties. And the grown folk said, children, sit down. The children said, but we must stand against water cannons, police dogs, nightsticks, and racist laws. And the grown folks again said, children, sit down. The grown folks said, children, you are too young to do this. We fear you are not safe in this world, so children, please, please listen to us. Children, sit down. And the children said, you are right. We are not safe in this world that you've built for us, nor will we be if we sit down. So no, grown folks, we will not sit down.
So children, won't you sit down? Sit down, children, I can't sit down. Sit down, children, I can't sit down. Sit down, children, I can't sit down. 'Cause my soul's so happy, I just can't sit down.
And the children marched. And they marched. And they marched until they marched so far ahead of the grown folk that the grown folk knew they were beyond their sight. So they had to listen to the ground for the sound of the children's footsteps. They had to lift their ears to the air, listen for the voices of the children singing the future. And when they found them, the children, the grown folks saw them. And when the grown folks found them, the children were of so many folds and faces, so many places and races. But they all looked at the grown folk, looked at them with the same eyes of the one eternal child. And they said, did you not know that we had to be here in the house of light? Did you not know that our souls knew where our feet needed to go? Did you not know that we were called by a need to make things right? Did you not know, oh grown folk, did you not know? Did you not know? But if you knew the joy in standing for justice, if you knew the joy in speaking for those slain by those sworn to serve and protect, if you knew the joy in locking arms against night-born tiki torches bent on burning church and mosque and synagogue, if you knew the simple joy in singing to the anger of your country until you can feel it cooling, if you knew the joy of fighting the dark tide threatening to engulf us, you would not say to us, children, sit down. You would stand with us, for you would understand what's deep in our hearts, what burns deep in our souls. And you would understand, grown folks, you'd understand why we children cannot sit down. So don't you tell us, children, sit down while our brothers are bulleted out there in the streets. Don't you tell us to sit down while our sisters are made into little more than mounds of meat. Don't you tell us to sit down while so many in this world are racked with suffering and pain. Don't you tell us to sit down while you allow this world to be engulfed in flames? Don't you ask us to sit down. You can sit down if you want to, but for us, we're gonna stand and sing a new sun up now, because our souls are so happy that we just can't sit down.
So children, won't you sit down? Sit down, children. I can't sit down. Sit down, children. I can't sit down. Sit down, children. I can't sit down. 'Cause my soul's so happy. Oh, my soul so happy. Oh, my soul's so happy that I just can't sit down.
Daughter, my love, do not cast yourself into the sea, for the sea is stormy, and its destiny is greater than yours. It will carry you away. These lines open the first song in this next chapter. They are translated from an early 20th century Ottoman Jewish cantica, originally in the language of Ladino. They speak to how, in journeying across vast waters, one risks being carried away by the currents. Some currents carry us gently, others batter and threaten to capsize us, making it very difficult to hang on. And then in walks love. What is this single drop of honey that helps sweeten the sometimes bitter brine of living? It is both so easy and so difficult to come by and to hold. And we human beings have saying of it in its myriad forms, even when, especially when, it pains us to do so. Whether we are a loving mother who fears that her daughter, like herself, will be disappointed by and drowned beneath the fathoms of love, or we are a man who has survived it to come to a place of reconciliation and acceptance, or a broken dirt farmer whose heart is cracked by the loss of a dear friend. Love so often hurts us into wisdom. But oh, to risk the waves of life, the uncertain waves of parenting, the capricious waves of love, the painful waves of loss, somehow we manage to find new ways to live, even though we know the next wave just might crush us. Chapter 2. Live, love, survive, repeat.
Hija mía, mi querida, mana, mana, man, no te eches al amar, que la mar está en fortuna, mila que te va a llevar. Hija mía, mi querida, mana, mana, man, no te eches a la mar, que la mar está en fortuna. mila que te va a llevar. Que la marcha en fortuna, mira que te va a llevar. Siete fundas del hondo que me engluta peso para salvarle el amor. Que me traiga mana, siete fundas de hondo que me engluta peso para salvarle el amor. Que me engluta peso para salvarle el amor. Para salvarle el amor. Para salvarle el amor. Para salvarle el amor. Para salvarle el amor.
It is the law that seasons, best-selling books, and empires come and go. Babies are born to die. Bridges built to someday fall. And shoes wear out. Time patrols this universe, enforcing the law. Love? Well, that's a crime of passion. Innocent desperados, we wandered deep into the forests that we were, becoming awed by the marvels we became. Oh, we were beautiful. A little. And at night, amidst our pungent love, little muttered cries fluttered from your lips like startled doves that would eclipse when we would explode, moaning and godlike and spent in all of the furthest firmament. We first led one another down that road. Remember how once upon a love we laughed, were kind and cruel and a little daft, how we danced in the streets of Flatbush or Mardi Gras, how we were too naive to count the costs of believing in fairy tales. but now we have lost. And this too is according to the law. And I raged like a teardrop, angry with an ocean. And when my appeal came back stamped, denied, something in me almost died. But now, having wept my pain away, I lift my head and wish you luck and say that I will not mourn the passing of a rose. For I am a law-abiding citizen, and everybody knows that spring will return. It must. It is the law.
There was a Camptown man, he used to plow and sing, and he loved that mule and the mule loved him. When the day got long, as it does about now, I'd hear him singing to his muley cow, calling, "Come on, my sweet old girl." I bet the whole damn world that we're gonna make it, yeah, to the end of the road. Singing hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind, Bessie. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more. Said it's a mean old world, heavy in need. That big machine just kicking up speed. There was something on tears, there was something on wine. We all get to heaven in our own sweet time. So come on, you Asheville boys, and turn up your old time noise, and kick till the dust comes up from the cracks in the floor, singing hard times ain't gonna rule my mind, brother. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more. But the Camptown man, he doesn't plow no more. I seen him walking down to the cigarette store. Guess he lost that knack and figured out that song. Woke up one morning and the mule was gone. So come on, you ragtime kings, come on, you dogs, and sing. Pick up that dusty old horn and give it a blow.
hard times. We've all had them and will again. And often what helps us get through them is other people. Whether it is living in a quiet moment with one person you know intimately and sharing a cup of tea, or being with many people you know nothing about, sharing an ephemeral moment of musical magic in which your body cannot resist the conjure of dance. Moments like these are those in which we feel most alive.
Now, for this next story, we will meet Regie as a teen. This happened a long time ago. And in order to feel more alive, he resisted his parents' uber strictness for the sweat-soaked wonders and rhythmic revelations of the Chicago Dance Club. Chapter 3. This moment contains forever.
Chicago, drum and bass, house music, whatever two teenagers who snuck out the house to hear should not have been hearing, but did anyway. The year, 1980. Bass slides in on all fours, rabbit with a feral look in its eyes. Bodies twist themselves into blasphemous angles of rebellion and defiance. Something smelling like jail time cuts across the air like handfuls of cubic zirconium scratching up a plexiglass sky. Over in the corner, a cue ball psychotic smack cracks up a tribe of stripes and solids on a squared field of green. The black eight sinks through the smoke and haze of all mans as 10 spots reluctantly ruffle their ways out of pissed off pockets. Now the DJ, who we call the priest, sits up there in the pulpit in all transcendent splendor, jacking the sounds, spinning the rhythms in 33 1/3 sermons, preaching the sound of our new gospel. And the church's hands fly heavenward, exposing our palms to the angels as we hope to catch a holy hand slap from a God who's pissed off because she's got to work the night shift. Tonight, we be young, virile, sweated with passions you've got to experience in order to understand. You see, tonight, we don't care nothing about tympanic, cartilaginous erosion of our inner ears, weakened by way too many weekends of butt bumping, woofing, and tweeting. We don't care nothing about that butt kicking we're going to get when we get back home and our parents found out we snuck out to this party. Okay, a little. But what we care about right now is that butt kicking only bass and drum can give. That butt kicking only bass and drum can heal. See, tonight we live. We live for strobe lights that burn our vision and bring new sight. We live for floors moaning beneath the weight of our young flippant attitudes. We live for glasses that mumble the speech of our stolen kisses, and for a sky that explodes with the funk of our flirting smiles. We live to smack our burdens in the back of the head, watch them give up their ghosts between the etched groove, etched groove, etched groove, etched grooves of wax plates. We live for the bodega crew, coming up from Humboldt and Pilsen from the barrio, bringing them supple brown morenas with hips like congas, gone bopping a 6/8 rhythm from the front door to the dance floor. Hips got you tongue of the language you ain't never languaged before. Like mito momi pisi uki po bon potato po feve, or something like that. Big red Mansana lips, parting ever so slightly, revealing a thin sliver of pink tongue that rolls itself like scarlet smoke off the roof of Latina mouths. We live for sisters, blue blacks, honey browns, heavenly ebonies, getting down on legs shaped like mama's soul food, with a whole lot of attitude. Calves carved magically out of hams and hocks, with backsides big and round as grandmama's homemade biscuits. Good Lord! Their hair picked out, slicked out, tricked out, icked out into an asymmetrical isosceles rhomboid parallelogram, and a few other shapes that defy geometric explanation. Tonight, we be young, virile, sweaty with passions you've got to experience in order to understand. Tonight is our night to hold somebody's body close to us, firm to us, to feel the thin, wispy slivers of their breath invade our ears like well-trained mercenaries, hold them close and firm on a slow jam, heaving against the mask of teenage knowing and adolescent pretense. Something deeply inside of us that used to draw on walls of caves 40,000 years ago understands that this moment belongs to us. This moment would never come again. This moment contains a forever, and forevers are strung together one dance floor at a time. Tonight we are young and virile and sweaty with passions you've got to experience in order to understand. And we don't care nor give a damn that our parents don't want to understand that sweat is a friend of ours. And tonight, we got to get real friendly. To my fellow human being, every dream I have ever dreamed has had the sound of your voice. Every nightmare I've survived has worn your face. The only thing I know about the devil is what I have seen us be to one another. And the only thing I know about God is what I trust you and I can someday become. Those words were written by poet Stephen Mason, a decorated veteran and captain in the United States Army during the Vietnam War. After all he'd experienced, he still found a space within himself to have faith in spite of everything, that human beings could be transcendently humane, even in the face of the worst of humanity. How is it that we keep on keeping on? How do we keep finding ways to resist the darkness and wait for moments of light? How do we keep finding a way of making a way out of no way? This next story is about people who did just that. And it is both true and personal. It is the story of Guy's grandparents who served in the resistance in Romania and Hungary during the Second World War. It is of how they deceived the soldiers there and resisted the despair of the times, and in so doing, brought just a bit of light into the darkness. Chapter 4, A Rose Among the Ruins.
And oh, isn't it wonderful? A wedding in the woods. The girl from the town, her lover captured in the camps. Their best wedding gift, a stolen uniform, so that he can pass as a guard past the guards. And isn't it wonderful? They could dare to love so deeply, they again risk life. He rips through barbed wire. She, defiant, flirts with the soldiers to gain information and then slips away to meet him in the woods. And isn't it wonderful that in the midst of the war there is a forest with trees, coupled and old, older than any human animosity. Is it not wonderful that in the midst of this forest they steal a dance? Just a lean-back swirl. Just a boy and a girl, just for this night. He with a dust of ash in his mouth, she with hunger tight in her belly. Is it not wonderful that just for this night they pillow on a coat nested on the forest floor beneath the cold, pure scent of pine, and again like children wonder at a wild galaxy? The wedding portrait, shot from the waist up to hide the barbed wire tear in his trousers, exposed more than youth, more than stealth, more than laughter, in black and white, in sap and pine, in star and shine, it shares a question. Is it not wonderful that there can be something else, just as old and just as human as the war?
Most of us here, I'd wager, are either immigrants or the descendants of immigrants. People propelled to leave one home and move to another. Some came to escape tyranny. Others came looking for a better place to be. But many immigrants have a hard time in their new land. A hard time with the language, with the loneliness, with the assumptions others make. In this chapter, you will hear of assumptions. Those made by a young black man about an Asian woman passenger. Those of a young Latino woman about two people considered legally white. That story, the one that closes this chapter, was born out of the actual court documents of an Ottoman Jewish couple from Salonika who were displaced by the Great Fire there in 1917. A couple who, because of immigration policies premised on race, changed identities and became white in order to enter this country. The first piece you will hear in this chapter is the tale of one immigrant's crossing who sings to the sea he sails upon. He sings in Hebrew these words in English. Carry me. Wave, carry me to the place of my dreams. Carry me with understanding and compassion. And don't ask me why there is a small bird waiting for me on the horizon. Chapter 5. We all may have come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now.
ואין כוכב לי, ואם הים גועש, אל תורן ספינתי הדליק עמה שושנה של אש, ואם החבירו עד בלי סוף שמיים וחוט השחר דק, הושיטי יד חמה בכי נעימה ולב אל לב אחזק.
כיפת זהב מהים תחתי תהום ודמי סעני גם סעני גם ארץ חלומים
סעני בתפונה
ואל תשאל למה לי ציפור קטנה, ציפור קטנה באופק מחכה לי. אם קלעתי בחלומת עופרת כותונת להוא להשקיע החרש המצחק.
או אמא, אין מילה של השוב. ואם תשאל מה הנתיב בים לי ומה לי הצודק, הגידי לה משקת פלאים, או אמא, לרך שיוולד.
כיפת זהב מים תחתי תהום ודמי סעני גר ארץ
חלומי שעני בתבונה,
ואל תשמע לי ציפור קטנה
ציפור קטנה
באופן
מחכה לי.
ואין כוכב לי ואם הים גועש על תורת ספינתי הדליק עימה
שושנה של אש.
The young man on the boat watches what he assumes is a woman of some means. She is walking toward her cabin. She is fashionably dressed. Her straight hair, her amber complexion, her almond eyes give her a foreignness he cannot forgive. He thinks to himself, she has come to this country. This place had imported my ancestors. Oh, it's clear. It's easier for her. People like her have no history here. They don't understand. But what if this young man could travel her blood? See her great-great-grandfather as a young man with strong back and the stench of poverty tattooed in his skin, coming to San Francisco from southern China, desperate to feed his family. Would the young man see something of himself in that young man from China? Would he perhaps think differently of her? What if that young man could see her great-great-grandfather with his wife and son, whom he loved dearly, whom he had to leave because there was no work where he lived? What if the young man could see the two of them scraping together, borrowing everything they could to send him an ocean away to blow holes in granite mountains and lay tracks of steel? What if the young man knew that as the almond-eyed woman's ancestors were laying those tracks eastward, his own was laying them westward? That perhaps they met or noticed one another when the two lines of track joined? What if that young man on the train knew that both were paid half what whites got? Knew that the almond-eyed woman's great-great-grandfather only ate every other day so he could send money away for his wife and son, hoping to have them come and join him in America. But that was not to be, because once that railroad was completed, this country tightened its jaws, gritted its teeth, and deported him back to China. What if the young man knew that it would be another 2 generations before another member of the almond-eyed woman's family would be allowed back in? 2 generations before her father's father, with his strong back with scent of poverty tattooed in his skin, could come carrying the hope of a family desperate to be lifted out of poverty. What if the young man knew that when this young man from China finally scraped up enough to come to America, that upon arrival, he received no welcome like those who came through Ellis Island, but was instead herded into the cold barracks of Angel Island, where he carved into one of the rotting wooden walls this poem. For more than 20 days, I ate wind and tasted waves, only to become a prisoner in this wooden building. Oh, how was I to know at night, when thoughts of my family and poverty find me, how a double stream of tears would begin to flow?
The Honduran teen observes the older couple through squinted eyes. She does not trust their generation. She does not trust their look. He has to hoist his wife from her wheelchair and lift her across the seat so she has the window, then move her back again so she can use the toilet. Good thing he's so busy caring for his wife. They're the type, white as white, to notice a runaway like her. The old woman opens an oil-stained bag and hands her husband a small cake dusted with sugar and smelling of cinnamon. "Galletita?" she asks. Startled, the teenager leans in. "¿Qué eres? What are you?" She wonders at her assumption. They are white, aren't they? Are they? These two, they grew up in good Jewish families in the city of Salonika, crossroads of the Ottoman Empire. Birth learned French in l'Alliance Française. They were French enough to work in Lyon, Spanish enough to pass through Mexico, Jewish enough to... But wait, shouldn't Jewish be enough? But these two, they were not enough. For many New York Jews, to them they were incomprehensible. Their Yiddish was Spanish. Their coffee was Turkish. They played a strange game with checkers and dice. They smoked Arab water pipes. To these New York Jews, these Ladino-speaking Turks were foreign enough to threaten the hard-earned whiteness of the Jews who had already been welcomed into white. So what were they on paper? Papers don't lie. Well, first, the documents read race, Turk. Complexion, dark. So their Ellis Island application was denied. Because they had the privilege of ambiguity, they found a window and they leaned on their Ladino Spanish and navigated through Mexico. And now, their legal documents read race, Mexican. Complexion, healthy. Because for that brief time, at the port of Fort Laredo, it was better to be Mexican than a Jew. Years later, on naturalization papers, their race became Hebrew, and their color white. But their birthplace, the thriving, bustling, beautiful, cosmopolitan city of Salonika, was nowhere to be found. Salonika, where they were children, where they went to school, met and fell in love amidst fields flaming with flowers. You know, that city, Salonika, for 500 years was filled with cultures, like a plum tree is filled with birds. And even the architecture bloomed with wonders, with synagogues and churches next to mosques and schools alongside museums and libraries. And then the nation-state of Greece acquired Salonika as a war prize. Now, the city was a treasure, but it looked too Ottoman, with all those Muslims and Jews. So when the Great Fire started, the tragedy played into the authorities' hands. With 3/4 of the city burned to the ground, the authorities rebuilt Salonika as Thessaloniki, rebranded modern and Greek, as though the others had never been. Slowly, Leon and Meliselde became outsiders, more and more restricted, increasingly constricted. People like them came to be seen as a threat. Decades later, here on this boat, Meliselde looks out at the waves, remembering.
To be here and accepted, what must be erased? What identities must be invented for people to gain foothold in this system? What is the cost of doing so? How do we reconcile the tensions between so many identities that make a country? How do we acknowledge them and still, out of many, become one? Now, even though some of the people on this boat have baggage and think they know all they need to know about each other, human curiosity does have a tendency of asserting itself. And when someone finds themselves curious about another, well, they might actually ask a question. And asking questions can have a habit of becoming conversations. And you never know what's going to happen when people start conversing. I mean, they might argue, they might fight, but sometimes they actually listen and maybe even learn something. This guy stands at the counter in the dining hall behind a woman with looks he'd never seen at all, but everything about her says charm and style and grace. Now, when she gets to the counter, she orders a drink. It was an iced cappuccino with soy, I think, but he was preoccupied in trying to surmise her race. Well, she wasn't quite white, she wasn't quite black, she wasn't quite this, she wasn't quite that. In fact, she wasn't quite anything, he supposed. Now, he didn't want to harass her or come off as crass, but a question was burning, so he decided to ask. And she said, "Save your breath, I can guess what you want to know." See, everywhere I go, folks stare at me trying to decode what I'm supposed to be. But truth is, mister, calculating me ain't so easy even for me. But since you got the interest, I'll take the time and keep that question from smoking your mind. Just buy my coffee and I'll tell you what I be. So the guy goes, "No sweat. That's a bet. I'm always curious to know what I don't know yet. And for me, that's worth a cup of joe or maybe even two." So then he reaches in his pocket, pulls out the money, pays for the coffee and goes, "There you go, honey. Now sit down, girl, and tell me, what in the world is you?" Well, that's when she took a deep breath and she goes, "A Jew, Italian, Haitian, Dominican, Africa, Asian, Mexico-Pean, Puerto Nigeria, Brazilian's what I am. And I'm knit to fit like a patchwork quilt. And from my sweat, this here country's been built. But keep it simple, stupid, call me American. Now you could just call me American. You could just call me American. Though sometimes I ain't quite sure just what that means. But from sea to shining sea, there are 300 million me's, red, white, and blue, and every in between." Come on. So they rapped a wee about democracy and what makes this one different than the ancient Greeks. They broached subjects most folks will say is taboo. They talked about love and religion and politics, the Taliban and the Dixie Chicks, Democrats, Republicans, and them green rainbows too. They spoke about when to use the Oxford comma, joked about Congress and all that drama, and wondered whether this country's economy is still bouncing back. They talked about this and that and climate changes of trucks and such and good shooting ranges and why he prefers a PC and she likes a Mac. Yep, they yacked so much they lost track of time. And though they differed, they began to find that they were becoming less enemies, if not friends. Then she checked her watch and said, "Oh, gotta run, but thanks for the talk. I've enjoyed it, hun. Who can say maybe one day we'll see each other again?" Then they both shook hands and said no more. She grabbed her purse and headed toward the door. That's when some dude looking real confused comes over real slow. He goes, "Say, buddy, seem like you know that woman. Do you mind very much if I ask you something?" He goes, "Save your breath. I can guess what you want to know." Well, that's when he took a deep breath. And he said, "Well, a Jew, Italian, Haitian, Dominican, African, Asian, Mexico, Peon, Puerto Nigeria, Brazilian's what she am. And she's knit to fit like a patchwork quilt, and from her sweat this here country's been built. But keep it simple, stupid, just call her American. Now you can just call her American. You can just call her American, though sometimes she ain't quite sure just what that means. But from sea to shining sea, there are 300 million she's, red, white, and blue, and every in between. Now you can just call us Americans. You can just call us Americans, though sometimes we ain't quite sure just what that means. But from sea to shining sea, there are 300 million we's, red, white, and blue, and every in between. Red, white, and blue, and every in between. Red, white, and blue, and every in between.
Well, fellow traveler, it's time to drop anchor and breathe together. Time to look around and see your sibling passengers. Time to see them. Imagine what they've weathered, what journeys they have taken to be here.
Know that we are all on this boat that cannot help heading toward storms. This boat whose keel we hope will cut through waves, whose rudder we hope will guide us safely to shore. And even though we know it is just as likely to steer us toward jagged rocks where its wooden hull might splinter, we do so because we know that love and loss and life and the living of it are not on the safety of the shores, but rather in the journey between them.
We'd like to think that tonight we've gone a bit deeper and further together, and that we may just be better for it. Some experiences are somehow better when you have someone to share it with, like dessert or a great wine, even a journey. And we'd like to thank those who have helped make tonight's journey possible. On voice, bass, and piano, Courtney Swain.
And on violin, Chris Baum.
On Powerful Words, your host, Regie Gibson.
And also on Powerful Words, voice, guitar, and piano, your host, Guy Mendilow.
We would also like to thank,
for monitoring and tweaking sound on the fly, back there, Mr. Vince Welch.
the RMB audio team, Cooper and Cam Kennedy, Wayne Schroeder, and Rick Null.
And I would like to give a hearty thanks to the Catering Works team for the delicious food and fare they provided for us.
For documenting tonight's journey, the museum, the video production team of Luke Mehoffy and Nicosia McCurson.
For touring and ferrying us about this treasure of a museum. Please, we'd love to thank NCMA's curator of Judaic art, Sean Burris.
Thank you to the director of the NCMA, Dr. Valerie Hillings.
And an extra portion of thanks to the North Carolina Museum of Art's music program manager, Jeffrey Yelverton Jr. Jeffrey, thank you for coordinating this program and for your attention, care, and hospitality.
Of course, we'd like to thank all of you who chose to take the time and make the journey with us and with each other. And we invite you to stay with us afterwards for a conversation. You'll notice also in your program there are some prompts. Part of the magic is what happens when you talk to a stranger, someone you don't know or know well.
We leave you with a poem that comes from a dear friend and mentor of mine. His name was Kent Foreman. Kent and I worked a lot together. He was the person who wrote that poem you heard earlier, It Is the Law, which he would read to me every time I was in the throes of heartbreak, which was more often than I'd care to remember. We journeyed together, and Kent would often say if there was any poem of his that were to survive his living, he'd want it to be this one. Look, right now, everything is happening. Melodrama in super cinerama. Right now, somewhere, some child has fallen from some tree. Some gambling husband has misplaced the key to the house, is dreading the dreaded anger of his most dreaded spouse. It's 4 a.m. Where have you been? I want to know right now. Somewhere in some clothesline tenement yard, some drug user needs a fix. While all someone else has for dinner is a bowl of cornflakes or tricks. Hey, y'all, times are hard for somebody, somewhere, right now. Somewhere, somebody is singing the blues, lives in a world of deeper, darker hues than those grottos tunneled into the bases of Italian aisles. And trials are going on now. At this very second, on any humming highway, any deadly drumming dieway, 2 speeding cars collide head on, while some cunning student of chess decides it's best to forfeit a pawn for a knight. Somewhere else, a fight. In an angry hand, a gun muzzle is flashing. Angry enemies guard against each other's border clashings, and blood will flow somewhere. Somewhere there's a Walmart that's on fire while it's thronged with shoppers. Somewhere else, some poor sharecropper's mule has just gone lame. Tragedies come in assorted sizes like prizes in some cosmic bingo game. Anywhere, some midwife hears some newborn babes indignant crying, and somewhere in these loneliest of times, someone is dying now. Right now. Right now on some stage, some musicians is cooking, while somewhere, someone else is brushing off their clothes, hoping to get a little bit better looking. Somewhere, I'm afraid, chastity is not being defended all that bravely. And somewhere else, some kindred soul is bent over some rusty shovel, digging gravely now. Somewhere, right now, somebody is high. Somebody else has been eating a piece of Aunt Jemima's sweet potato pie. In some pool hall now, some loser is racking in front of some audience at some museum in North Carolina. Some poet keeps on yakking now. Right now, somewhere, some prim elderly virgin overhears some dirty, dirty joke and smiles. And right now, somewhere, somebody is listening to the opening notes of a trumpeter named Miles. Every time, all sorts of things are going on. At this millisecond or at some ancient dawn. What? How? Oh, dear dreamers, there is no other time than now. Than now. Than right now. Then we want to talk to each other. I am originally from Mississippi. Anybody here know how we spell it? Let me see how southern you are. How do we spell it? Exactly. I don't know if you heard that. M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. Now, thank you. My family was part of that great migration of black people who moved north during we came at the latter part in the 1960s. So we got there just in time to watch stuff burn down, right? Chicago was on fire by the time my family was rolling into Chicago. But after everything was rebuilt, we lived on the west side of Chicago, and there are so many churches on the west side of Chicago. So you walk down the street and all you hear is this wonderful gospel music that is arresting you. Right? And when you go to one church, it's like, oh my God. You go to another church, oh my God. Another church, oh my God. Because all of these people had come up from the South and had come there and brought the music, just like any immigrant does. But every now and then you get to one church and somebody's voice would roll out. Usually it belonged to a woman and she was giving it away. And it would arrest you and grab you by your ankles and turn you upside down and shake the spiritual change out of your pockets, right? And when somebody has a voice like that, right? A voice that makes you into a plate of syrup and they are the biscuit, okay? We don't say, and some of my folks gonna know what I'm talking about, we don't say that person can sing. What do we say? That person can sing. Exactly. So they get all up in the song and make it asymmetrical. Emily Dickinson had a poem called Tell the Truth But Tell It Slant, right? Give it to them just off to the side. And that's what we do with that singing. Now, when we come across a person who has a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain indefinable something about them, we also don't say that person has a thing about them. We say that person has a what? A thing about them, okay? And so we want to celebrate that thing, right? That thing that got us up, that thing that brought us here, that thing that sustains us, that thing that holds us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach many of you to speak Southern. Okay? I live now in Massachusetts, and it's really difficult for some of them to speak Southern. So I'm going to help you with that. You have a part in this. What you have to say is, that thing, that thing, that thing, 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 be thankful, thankful for that thing. Can we try that? That thing, that thing, that thing, 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 be thankful, thankful for that thing. Now, when you hear me singing it, that's your time to come in and join it as well. So, y'all ready to take them into that? Let's make it happen, okay? Cool. Oh, so you can dance on this too. You know why they call this funk? It's the face. Now each one of us who's felt it, we know it's the sweetest feeling felt. That gentle touch of spirit that makes all defenses melt. It evades each attempt at language, yet it speaks through everyone. And at times when we are silent, you can hear it hum. It's the reason why we fall in love. It's why particles come in pairs. It's the yin and the yang of molecules. It's why E equals MC squared. It's the reason we need poetry, cause some phenomena can't be named. And I don't care at all what you call it, y'all. Let's just be thankful for that thing. That thing, that thing, that thing, thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. Help me sing it, y'all. That thing, that thing, that thing, thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. Now, I'm not telling nobody here nothing nobody don't already know. And that is, everything is connected from the macro to the micro. Don't believe your deceiving eyes. Look deep inside, you'll see it's true. That there's a universal union between the universe and who? You. Now some find it in their religion, some in their famous books of old, some through the arts and the sciences through a micro or a telescope. But it's the mother of all mysteries, from DNA to the Big Bang. But whatever it is that kicked off all this, let's just be thankful for that thing. That thing, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. That thing, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. We're talking prime causation, quantum fluctuation, cosmic inflation, particle creation, protons and neutrons colliding into deuterium and then into hydrogen and then into helium, and then comes the light out of a plasmic darkness. Then comes the time the stars begin sparking in nucleosynthesis. First stars explode and then another generation of stars begin their genesis. Dust balls forming, planets borning, Earth is then birthed and then life begins dawning. Prokaryote, cyanobacteria to eukaryote, then multicellular life begins to settle in. Fish to amphibian, reptilian, mammalian, primate, great ape, then Homo sapien. Whatever began that process I've explained, let's just be thankful for that thing, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing, that thing, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. Two more times, just voices. Come on with me. That thing, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. Yeah. Hey, that thing, that thing. Be thankful, thankful for that thing. And thank you.